Okay, so when we talk about DEI, well, who benefits the most? Because black people really don't. It's only like maybe 3 to 4% of black people actually benefit from those programs. So who benefits the most?
Uh, I'm not sure your question. I mean, theoretically, if 40% of all pilots end up being black people or people of
But that's
color,
not. I actually looked it up. It's only like maybe about 6% of pilots
their
are black.
goal is 40%, right? That's the point. It's like that's actually a great point. So they wanted to go from 6% to 40%. And so you have to wonder, boy, you go from 6% to 40%, there's going to be a relaxing of standards.
Okay, I guess the way let me see if I can rephrase this. So essentially when you talk about DEI, affirmative action, or anything to that effect.
I'm against all of it, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that would be fine. The thing is that now it's actually, referenced as a slur against, essentially if you see a black person in a position or, minority or whatever, the assumption is that that person is not qualified when literally, and, you have to be qualified in order to even to get in that position.
Well, so let's take college admissions. So this is a great example. At Harvard, we learned because of new revealed documents that black students were having test scores that were 30 to 35% lower than their white counterparts.
A very tough debate in a sense between Charlie and this very man, okay, on DEI. So let's continue with the video.
Yeah, so last year you said something about DEI, unqualified black pilots. You see a pilot on a black pilot. Don't you think it was an irresponsible statement suggesting that maybe these pilots aren't qualified or unqualified?
No. But I'll tell you exactly what I said and why I said it.
Okay, go ahead.
I said, the pretext, I went through a whole windup. I said, United Airlines is saying that they want 40% of all their pilots to be people of color or women. We have learned that we have relaxed standards anytime that we try to reach racial quotas. Anytime we reach racial quotas, we relax the standards. Standards for air traffic control, professors, or college admissions. Therefore, when it comes to pilots or surgeons, if I see somebody who is black, as I said on the show, I'm going to hope that that person is qualified. That's what I said, which of course is legitimate because they're begging the question, we're not hiring based on merit anymore. We're hiring based on race.
Now,
So when you see a black pilot, you wonder, boy, is that person there because they earned it or because they were placed there? That's what DEI does. It makes you ask questions you otherwise would not ask.
so the airline industry is going to take an unqualified person just based off diversity.
Underqualified, not
correction, yeah.
underqualified.
Unqualified, underqualified, whatever, uncertified, and put them in a cockpit and risk people's lives?
Those are two different things. Under and un are two different things. Of course, United Airlines will not take someone off the side of the street and put them into a pilot. But in order to reach a 40% goal, they might cut corners. They might accelerate the process in order to reach a goal. We know this through all sorts of DEI examinations and projects over the last 10 years. You have to choose in life. Either excellence or racial quotas will end up being the most important. And both cannot simultaneously exist. It's never happened before.
Okay, so when we talk about DEI, well, who benefits the most? Because black people really don't. It's only like maybe 3 to 4% of black people actually benefit from those programs. So who benefits the most?
I'm not sure your question. I mean, theoretically, if 40% of all pilots end up being black people or people of color.
But that's not. I actually looked it up. It's only like maybe about 6% of pilots
their
are black.
goal is 40%, right? That's the point. It's like that's actually a great point. So they wanted to go from 6% to 40%. And so you have to wonder, boy, you go from 6% to 40%, there's going to be a relaxing of standards.
Okay, I guess the way let me see if I can rephrase this. So essentially when you talk about DEI, affirmative action, or anything to that effect.
I'm against all of it, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that would be fine. The thing is that now it's actually, referenced as a slur against, essentially if you see a black person in a position or, minority or whatever, the assumption is that that person is not qualified when literally, and, you have to be qualified in order to even to get in that position.
Well, so let's take college admissions. So this is a great example. At Harvard, we learned because of new revealed documents that black students were having test scores that were 30 to 35% lower than their white counterparts.
Okay.
And so, therefore, if you saw a black kid at Harvard, it's a fact that they were not having the same test standards as their white counterparts.
Still doesn't matter. The kid has to he's got to get through the classes, do the tests, do all the research.
Well, they actually drop out at a greater rate, too. But the point being is just the idea that they were there, number one, took a spot from an otherwise qualified individual that might be white. And they were not there on the same merits. So what we want is the same rules for everybody.
You're making the assumption that they're not qualified in order to get in. In order to even get there,
it's not
be
the assumption.
considered.
It's the data. So, for example, it's literally at Harvard, you had kids with perfect SAT scores, perfect ACT scores that were white.
So that makes a degree from Harvard worthless then.
Well, you're exactly right. Yeah, actually, Harvard's degree is becoming more worthless because it's more race-based than merit-based. You're exactly right.
Okay, now we talked enough about that. So in the past you said you've made statements about black privilege. So can you explain that to me? and what it is, and
Yeah, of
how
course.
black
I
people
mean,
are
it's
getting
easier for a black person to get into college than a white person. You get with lower test scores. It's called affirmative action.
Okay, so that's been so college admission has been affirmative action for college admission has been struck down.
Thank you. Yeah.
So-
I'll give you another example. What percentage of TV commercials have black people versus white people?
I'm not sure about that, but
About
white
40
people are also in commercials.
About
so I don't-
40. Well, this is important. About 40 to 50% of all network TV commercials have a person of color right now. What percentage of America is a person of color?
At least for black people, I know we're about 13%.
Yeah, it's about so 13% of the population, nearly half of all the TV commercials.
White people are still in the commercials.
Yes, but underrepresented as proportional, though. The point being, I can give you another example. Easier to get corporate jobs. There are entire departments that are dedicated to just try and expand racial quotas.
You know what would really to fix this from the beginning had you not had all the. So why do we have DEI in the first place? Because this is the problem that creates. So why was DEI necessary in the first place? Or at least the government thought it was necessary in the first place.
Why do I think that it was?
No, why would the government?
Do you want my well-intentioned explanation or the?
Whatever you got.
I mean, DEI was obviously about trying to destroy the excellence of the country and elevate racial tribal politics.
Okay, so if you don't have the racism, right, and then you'll need that program. So you eradicate the racism, and that eliminates the need for any kind of program.
No, but if you have excellence, you're going to find the
that
best.
tries to take people and put them in place because they're minorities.
You want the best in everything. So let me just ask a final question, okay? If you were about to board a United Airlines flight from Tallahassee to Atlanta, and you find out the airline pilot says, "Hey, everybody, I'm a pilot. I was hired because of diversity. Let's have a great flight." Would that make you feel good or not so good?
No, but I know he's still got to be qualified in order to fly that aircraft.
But he said, "I was hired because of diversity," and you're like,
You still got to meet the standards in order to get into the cockpit.
well, again, we know because air traffic controllers and many others, they relax those standards. When you have a surgeon,
You're saying that, but look, you're not. It does not make sense. It's irresponsible. Not only to say that, but to actually put unqualified people in and risk lives.
But we know that's actually happening every day, and that's why it doesn't make sense. But racial quotas end up mattering more than excellence. When I go in for surgery, I want my surgeon to be the best surgeon, and here's where we can
I would
agree.
agree with that,
We
yes.
want a merit-based society, not a race-based society.
I say we should have started that way from the beginning. But at any rate, then the last thing, I don't want to hog the mic, but I'll just say
That's
this
fine.
last thing. So you talked about black fathers, absentee, and all this other stuff and everything else. I actually agree. Okay, more fathers in the home and everything else. That's wonderful stuff. The thing is that you also said, and I'm looking at some of your stuff previous, that there's a system in place that actually incentivizes women to make babies without husbands.
It's a
right?
great society.
Take that away,
I
and
agree.
then that problem essentially goes away.
Sure. I agree.
Now, I would ask this question also: what percent of black men do you think are abandoning their homes right now?
Well,
as it relates?
we know that it's actually 60 to 70%.
Okay, then you'd actually be wrong because the CDC actually submitted a report in 2023 that says 54% of black men don't even have children.
But that's
54%.
Those are those are two different numbers, man. I'm talking about those that impregnate.
Okay. Well, most black men are actually producing children and within the construct of
I'm
marriage.
talking
right?
about just the kids.
So you're saying black men are getting married and then leaving their
They're not
families?
getting married. That's the problem. What I'm
What?
saying is the data. I'm
Sir,
saying 2 out of 3 black men impregnate women and don't stay with them.
Sir, I'm telling you that 54% of black men, according to the CDC study 2023 National Health Statistics Reports, literally says that 54% don't even have children.
I know that's a complete different stat. Everyone knows what I'm saying and not what you're saying. That's a complete different. That's like a.
So
what I'm saying is that if you have a black child, which obviously exists for some reason, right? Somebody did something to make that black baby.
okay.
2 out of 3 times, the dad will not be around. Fact. Done.
All right.
Yeah, it's only out of. Thank you. The statistics are actually out of only those who have kids.
So you got black men who are married also. They're not abandoning their children and families at high rates.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the vast majority of black babies are born out of wedlock with abandoned fathers.
Okay, so let's do this. Now, if that's bad for a black
It's
baby,
bad for all. It's bad for everybody.
So then shouldn't that be your main line then?
It is actually. Everywhere I go, I talk
No,
about
when
that.
you do it, you kind of focus on black men as if somehow we're the only ones that's part of that problem.
Well, no, it is a black men abandonment issue, of course. I mean, would you agree that's probably the biggest issue facing black America is lack of dads?
It's one of the issues.
Okay, what is the biggest issue?
I don't, I haven't kind of thought
That's
about
fine.
that.
I want you
I'll
to
just
think
say,
about it over the next couple of days. We as conservatives believe
because we got a lot of problems, but I'll
the
kind of go with
breakdown
that.
of family, we believe, is the original sin of what's happening. We think that truth transcends color. It's true for white people, black people, Asians, Hispanics. Final thought.
Okay, fine, good question. I mean, good conversation. That's just my thing is when I hear you talk about it, it seems like you're framing it improperly, and then people are here saying that I'm doing it improperly. But
No,
I'm a black man in America. I
That's
know
okay.
something
I'm
about it.
just offering you grace. I'm not saying that your number is wrong. Just saying that it's a statistic that wasn't necessarily relevant to what I was saying. So thank you very much. I
All right.
appreciate it. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks for talking.
Tough debate, listening to Charlie, as they discuss, the DEI, and then hoping or having the vision of at least employing at least 40% of people of color, into the pilot. But then one thing is for sure, why do you have to bring in, 40% in the first place for some people to feel that they are included? I think that it doesn't make sense. Just employ people that you know that they are capable of doing the job. If they are not capable of flying the airplane in the first place, then they should not be employed. You get the point. Moreover, before a airplane in a sense will be given to you, it means that it must have been tested and they are sure that they can actually in a sense fly the plane before you'll be allowed. And then that's why they don't even have at least one pilot in a sense to fly a plane. They are two. You understand? They keep communicating, you understand, with each other. So it means that one person cannot, you understand, actually fly a plane. That's why they do have what a co-pilot. So it means that they need to, even if you understand you are qualified, you still need to gain more experience. It means that you'll be in the plane with somebody who is more experienced, so that from there you can be able to like learn few things before you can actually in a sense become the main in a sense pilot. So to me, I would say that if people would in a sense are being employed because of their color, then I think that it doesn't make sense, and those are things that should not be encouraged. Imagine that you understand that you are to maybe probably have a surgery right now, and then they will tell you that, oh, they employed this person because of his someone of color, so therefore this person should attend to you, or this person that will take care of your surgery. Would you go ahead with it? The answer is no. Why do you risk a life of people just because you want some group of people to feel that they are included? I think that it doesn't make sense. The thing is, it should be based on quality. So what you're going to do is you're going to employ people because they are qualified to be where they are supposed to be, and not because of their race. Race should not be considered when it comes to employment. If there's a black person and then a person is qualified to be there, then the person should be given the job. But someone should not be given a job because they are black. It doesn't make sense, because you are risking the life of people, either as a pilot or either as a doctor. It doesn't just make sense, because you are dealing with life, and we don't have to play with lives. You get, maybe probably at the TV stations, okay, maybe probably, but when it comes to flying plane and then being doctor, you are taking care of surgery and the rest. I think that we should not be playing with people's life. I don't think that those things, you understand, should be considered in that very context. Once people are qualified in order for them to render services, you understand, in a particular field, then they should be employed based on their quality, based on their competence, and not based on the color of their skin or where they come from. It does not make sense for us to be risking the life of people. Now, when it comes to the second thing that we were discussing about black parent, I think that the man kind of come with statistic thinking that they're talking about, you understand, black people in general. That's when he was saying that stats shows that maybe 50% of black men, they don't even have kids. Whereas Charlie is talking about black people who impregnate, you understand, people, and they don't want to take responsibilities and leave the mothers, you understand, with the children as single mothers. That's what, you understand, Charlie is talking about. So if you look at it, you see that they are talking about two different things. You get, that's based on my own, you understand, understanding. But nevertheless, when you look at it, you understand, at the end of the day, they tend to at least understand each other. Else otherwise, the man could have maybe accused Charlie of being racist. That's why I see he was saying that why don't you also focus on both race and not just about looking at it based on is black people, who impregnate people without actually taking innocent responsibility. Why don't you also look at it as the white people? But once Charlie was able to make his explanation, I believe that he understood, everything, and everyone, was happy at the end of the day. Oh, what do you think? or do you have a contra explanation to what, you understand, Charlie say in the video? Then I would like to see that at the comment section. And may God bless you as you do so. So have a wonderful day and goodbye.